You may or may not have heard of the name Conrad Roy or the name Michelle Carter. Conrad Roy, in 2014, committed suicide. His 17-year-old girlfriend, Michelle Carter, was recently convicted and sentenced at her part in his suicide. And you know, someone might say, wait, if he committed suicide, he did it, so how could she be convicted? Well, when you'd read about it, initially they'd say bullying him into suicide. Well, I didn't pay much attention to it really, other than just having heard the blurb. But then I took a little bit of time and I read some of the transcript of the text between the two. You know, and if I were to take a step back, I'd say, you know what, I don't know if I'd really call it bullying, but I would say pushing, encouraging. It was disturbing, the things that she said. Because it was like, have you done it yet? What are you waiting on? Or, you keep putting it off. Today's got to be the day. And it started about 4 a.m. that day. And the text literally take up about 15 or 16 pages, the text between them. And like I say, you read it, it's disturbing. Could it have been that, you know, she would tell him, I love you. He'd tell her, I love you. And we kind of think, you love somebody, how do you say those kinds of things? Maybe she thought he was just so disturbed that that was his only way of peace. Someone mentioned to me maybe she was wanting some notoriety and some sympathy for her boyfriend having committed suicide. The very end of the text, though, when he was actually going through with the carbon monoxide poisoning, she texted him, delete your text. But he was apparently already gone. And so the authorities found out, and she wound up being tried and convicted. Somebody might say, well, what's that got to do with an invitation? Recalling this disturbing kind of thing. You know, we would think, I would never encourage somebody to commit suicide and push and egg them on. This Sunday night, we were in 1 Corinthians chapter 8, and eventually we'll be at chapter 9 and chapter 10. And at the very heart of all of this, well, chapter 8, verse 9. But take care that this right of yours does not somehow become a stumbling block to the weak. Then verse 12. Thus sinning against your brothers and wounding their conscience when it is weak, you sin against Christ. You know, about being the stumbling block. What did Jesus say about that? Better that a millstone be hung about our neck and drowned in the depths of the sea. You see, we would never, I don't think anybody in here would write the kind of text that this girl did to encourage physical death, suicide. But yet sometimes are we conscious of our actions and what we say as concerns how it affects somebody else spiritually? You know, if we're not careful, we could be responsible for someone's spiritual suicide. That is, if we are the stumbling block. You know, I'm just kind of curious as to what most people in law would really think about, you know, she was convicted of about 2.5 years prison sentence. About a person who, they didn't buy the gun, they didn't pull the trigger. All they did is say, do it, do it, do it. What do people think should be done? Should she be convicted? How much time should she serve? But we know what God thinks. If we are responsible for someone's spiritual death, we know what God thinks. Let's be encouragers. Let's help people get to heaven by everything we do and everything we say. If we could help you tonight, maybe it's with baptism, maybe it's with confession of sin or need for prayer, please come as we stand and sing.